I guess the Lord probably opened up my heart to see the truth, that it was truth. It wasn't going against old teaching. It wasn't going against your values that you were taught since you were 2 years old. And now it's saying you departed from those ways when you're, whatever the number is, 40.
Do you remember like any specific scripture or reference that God would use to help you to see that what you just said?
Well, for me, it changed my heart to, for me, it was the seed thing.
The seed thing?
Yeah, the sperma seed.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's what did it for me.
The
Like,
parables,
wow,
you mean,
this is
the 3 different ones? Or just the truth of that? You mean the parables or just the concept? And when you say
The concept of
the concept.
Sperm is oral, so 2
Yeah.
Okay,
seeds.
just that concept.
That's what
Yes,
like
that's-
the light went on.
Like
So I remember
the
telling
green
people,
one.
look, you ought to see this.
It's
There's
Yeah.
these 2 seeds.
amazing.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's kind of what did it.
So for you, to this day.
So by seeing that, it solidified, it justified the other teaching that I was starting to look, but I really didn't believe it, that it was true until I saw this. It's like, well, this is true, then it must kind of link these other
Yeah,
passages or scriptures, so.
that's cool, man.
And I think, so I make that comment because I think it's probably a lot of other people maybe have the same reason. But this isn't the Jesus that I know, this is wrong.
Yeah.
It's just, I've been taught these.
He's laughing, he knows it's
Yeah,
true.
the same thing happened to me.
Yeah?
I called Preston it was last year, and I was listening to Arnold Murray.
Yeah,
And that just changed.
but just a side note, he's the one who teaches about Satan and Eve and Cain, he knows all about it. Okay,
Yeah.
you keep going.
Who was it?
Arnold Murray.
We all know.
So keep going, yeah, keep going.
And I said, well, who do I know that teaches like this guy? Preston. But I know Preston for 30-some years.
Yeah, forever.
We were in seminary together, so. Yeah, so.
32 years married this year.
You guys got married, yeah. So I understand, because listening to this guy, just a light came on. And you think, well, this is what I've learned, even in seminary. How could I, be wrong?
Right, and you feel like you're, by looking at this alternative, that you're disobeying God.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. And man, I'm glad, because now I get to, learn a lot about more of the scripture. And let me tell you, by studying this way, it brought me closer to God, because you know the truth,
Well, it absolutely opens up the Word of God. So
That's
It
right.
does, it's like expanded.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the relationship is different now. It's like,
Pop-up
oh,
book.
those things that I've done before, I don't want to do that. More than I want to please you now. So help me please you. And it's through His Word.
That's cool, man. Look at that, I love it, man.
So Todd,
Thanks.
how did you become acquainted with that?
With
Was
what?
it
With the seed thing?
like the Lord used Shad in my life?
Who, he's asking,
Brought me
Well,
on
through
Phoenix
Pam.
so we came down here
Through-
and he
through
found
Pam.
a book and led us to Gary, now here we are.
Oh.
I mean, that's how that
so
happened.
so you heard through Pam, right?
And I heard through Coletta.
Okay.
Who heard it
Coletta
from
and I-
Kelly?
Coletta and I were going to church together at the time, and she used to clean the kitchen on Wednesdays, and I would go on Wednesdays and set up the coffee for Thursday morning Bible study, women's study. She just started talking about Isaiah, and then there's this seed, and there's that seed. She goes, there's gnosis, there's epignosis, deeper understanding. Yeah, she's throwing these words at me. I'm like, where are you getting that from? She goes, well, it's in the Greek language, and the Bible is written in Greek. And so she started like throwing seeds out. I was like following her around.
Where more?
And then do you remember or recall, was that before or after that you were questioning certain topics or discussions in women's Bible study? Did that trigger you then to ask those questions in women's Bible study, deeper questions? Or did you have those deeper questions and then Coletta came and then solidified your questions?
You know what? I got hooked on prophecy for like several years
See,
before that.
that's what
And I
happened
went
to
through
Shad.
all of the Old Testament, the major and minor prophets, watching, there's this couple on TV, his name was Dr. Pack and this other guy, and they had this little church that was in Oklahoma in this little Quonset hut, and they just taught stuff. They went through and so I really got hooked on prophecy, and when I was leading group in women's Bible study, I was on their leadership team. People were clamoring in the church. They wanted Beth Moore. They wanted Beth Moore.
Oh.
And
I just
the
followed it.
women's ministry director was 100% Reformed theology. She wouldn't have anything to do with Beth Moore. So people were the women were leaving to go to the other churches because everybody was in the Beth Moore cult at that time. So she's like, well, I decided we're going to have Beth Moore, but I'm going to be editing all of her videos before I show it to people. And I mean, this is like her ministry. She's like
Wow.
editing this stuff. So one day we were having this meeting
Wow.
after Bible study, and she goes, did anybody catch it? Did anybody in your class catch it? I'm listening to this. I'm like, what are you talking about? And one of the girls goes, yeah, I caught one, you know. She goes, well, I know I missed one. I go, what are you talking about? You missed one. She goes, well, she mentioned the word rapture in the video, which was like, it was like a swear word to her.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm like, wait, what's going on? She's like, well, I edit the videos. I go, you're editing someone else's Bible study? I mean, that's where she
That's
is. The Lord just
crazy.
has her. That's her ministry, whether or not you agree with it or not. You can't like take it and edit it for other people to listen to. I was
Wow.
out of there after that.
Wow.
So that's kind of where I.
That was before that's before you heard.
Yeah, this is when I was still in Bible study making
Okay.
the coffee, and
Okay.
Coletta had
Okay.
been like leading.
So
this
God already
thing.
had probably pretty much
Yes.
was already working in you
And then she gave
to let
me
you know.
Arlen's book, and then I understood there was more than one.
Arlen's
salvation.
book.
Yep, the
Which one?
Salvation
Of the soul. Yeah.
And it was like, oh,
Yeah.
there's more than one salvation. And that just kind of led. I think I have all of Arlen's books. He just
Yeah, we
kept
do.
mailing
We
them
do.
to me. I mean, I got
Yeah,
all
you
of
can
them.
Did you-
listening
Yeah.
and stop.
Right.
Compass.
But Chad used, actually Arlen introduced Shad. It's just how God works. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Went to a prophecy conference. But Shad dove in first into Revelation because he was spaceship man, you know.
Mhm.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
I always attribute that. And then he told me about Matthew 25, and I went into his closet that he made an office
Mhm.
in that condo. He turned the broom closet into an office. I
Huh.
went in there, shut the door, and I go, oh, the torch. Oh my gosh, they needed extra oil. Bingo, that's what it was.
So Shad redefined coming out of the closet, you're saying? He came out stronger and more godly, and not the reverse of what we hear
But he
today.
started prophecy, and then Arlen had Gary's books there, and then he got the Matthew Mysteries, shock and surprise.
Yeah. And you know, the Reformed theology people, they don't teach prophecy because you die and go to heaven. That's
Yeah.
the end of the story. There's
Yeah,
nothing. none of that means
Lee
anything.
knows. Lee went to RTS for a lot. Lee knows.
Yeah.
He was rooted in that. He knows.
Yeah, that's what we grew up in. There were four
Lee was like a
churches
palm tree
and they
going,
all saw the same
I'm out of this, I'm rooting out. I'm uprooting myself. He was like an ant from Lord of the Rings. I'm out of here.
It's fun.
So, Lansing, how did you come to know about everything?
Oh, well, going to the prophecy conferences, and then there was Dr. Shuttle there.
Yeah.
So I got the Joseph
Lou
Shuttle
Shuttle,
books, and he
that's
says,
the
oh,
one.
there's another one here I've got too. I said, well, I've got this one, I may as well get this other one. That was Dr. Whipple's book.
Oh, okay.
Then that led there.
Yeah.
And
So-
then, of course, years later is when I
Shuttle,
passed
not
by
Harvard.
here and saw that.
The here.
Where the.
Oh, that's right, you
Wawa
saw us
is.
down
You
there,
just
yeah.
popped in though, didn't you?
You know, Preston, it
You
was
just popped
shut.
in
It
and here
was
was
the
Preston?
shuttle.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it happened to be a conference.
It was a conference, remember that? She came out at a conference.
2016, I was going to another activity and I passed by, thought, this looks like about where the church was that I was going to, and the
Yeah, I
next Sunday
remember
I
it.
came by and that was the conference, and I'm like, oh my goodness.
But you didn't know it was Preston
No.
No,
until
I
you got
didn't
in
know.
here.
Until I came in here, but I thought I've gotta see what's
Isn't
going
that,
on there.
that's a God thing.
Did you know me before? Did you know when I was at Gary's?
I may have.
Were we there?
I just
Oh,
don't
I
remember
thought-
talking.
Do you remember
to
Nancy?
all.
Remember other Nancy?
I just don't remember talking to y'all, but I looked in my old directory and I saw where I'd written your names. I'm like, I can't. I remember
That's
Jenny and
okay.
John
Floyd.
Buchanan, but
Memories.
Oh.
and the ones from Tampa that were on the Fen, but like Glenn.
Yeah, yeah. Glenn and Peggy.
And then I remember the Floyds,
John and Jenny Floyd, yeah.
but I guess maybe we didn't talk much at that time. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Okay. And how'd you know, Vicki?
Caught up now.
Well, I was scrapbooking and I got sat down in front of Coletta and she was talking about the ark and types and I was just like floored. I was going to a Methodist church at the time and none of this kind of stuff, prophecy or anything was ever barely read scripture, almost, you know, we had the little, you know, the 3 verses they would pick up for each week, and that was about it, and then you had the sermon, but Coletta was talking about the ark and these types, and it was like, I didn't even scrapbook, I just sat there with my book like this, and listened to her the whole night, and I was like, I really want more of this, you know,
Coletta
and
can do
so, she gave me her number, and so I called her, and then we started doing studying together, and,
Wow.
then I met, we, went to Steve and Susie Southern's
Oh, yeah,
conference. And Kelly was there, and she had given us a tape about seeds, and we listened to it all the way from
Oh.
Indianapolis back to Chicago.
Oh, wow.
And then,
That was Terry, right?
that was, I guess.
That was Terry.
Was it Terry?
It's gotta be Terry.
Yeah, it was about
Terry when he was
spora and
filling in for
sperma, and.
Yeah, yeah.
Then we came, we started, following Arlen, I mean, I started reading some of his books too, and Vernon McGee stuff, and then.
Vernon
Yeah.
McGee.
Yeah.
Oh,
Shad did
wow.
that
Yeah,
too.
we did
Yeah.
both.
That's not Kingdom stuff.
Well, I
He's
just.
just old school.
wasn't it?
Yeah, he's cool. He's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, you know, I was not versed in anything, I mean, it's just.
J.
like-
Vernon McGee.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, J.
Yeah.
Vernon
Nice
McGee,
to
and
see
then
his
we
videos
came
on
that.
to this conference here in 2003, I think it was.
Yeah, yeah.
Met you and Shad and Mike and Jim and, you know, everybody. It was
Oh.
big, you know.
Wow.
And after that, we started studying, we got the tapes from you, and then we started a ladies girls Bible study, and you came,
Coletta's sister.
and Coletta's sister, and then eventually Tracy came, and so it just kind of.
How did you know?
Because Pam and I, that's still the church where I work.
Oh, the same place? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't go to their church.
The celebrity pastor.
Celebrity, what does that mean?
He's got a very popular book.
What's it called?
It's called,
Freakadoos Are Us?
no,
I'm
it's
just
called
kidding.
Gentle.
I'm just kidding.
It's called Gentle and Lowly.
Okay.
So anyway.
All right, I'll look it
A
up.
lot of people know who he is,
Gentle and
but, Pam and I used to make the baptism banners for the church, and so
Ah.
we were always meeting at her house mostly. And one day she was kind of giving me, I think you were talking to me about it during those times, and then one day she just got out this big chart of paper that was all taped together and started showing me.
All those charts on Terry.
The nomenclature, and
That's
she's
the big
like,
one.
well, I think like we're here, and I really wanna be here, and I'm like, what?
You know what?
It was
So
like-
wait a second, so,
The
but you
Key
notice all you ladies had nothing in common with Todd in that way. It's not like you're saying yours easier for you. Todd and Lee were saying, hey, they felt like they were gonna betray something, and you guys were just like, okay.
Well, I had.
I mean, is that what you're saying? Am I hearing that wrong? Is that what you're hearing?
I didn't have any fear of it.
Yeah, right.
No, and I.
Yeah.
Am I hearing that wrong, Emma? Is that what you're more
Yes,
easy?
but you know what, that's common, cause women.
Yeah, I know,
will
believe me, I
absorb
teach
the
that,
word
I know, no, I
differently
teach
than
that, I
you-
know.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I get it, you're just confirming what I already know. Is that what you're saying too, Nancy? You didn't have any problem with it? When you first heard about kingdom things, you were okay with it?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I had Gary's stuff, and then I just came into this.
But so Gary was the first one you heard that taught differently about the Bible?
Yeah, well, you know, like I said, 40 years ago, and I'll bring the picture tomorrow, where I knew about the Bema Judgment Seat
Yeah.
of Christ. I had Harold Wilmington's book in the late 70s about the coming kingdom, and
Okay.
he said a little about the Judgment Seat of Christ, but when I read it, I thought, I know there's more in the Bible than this about the Judgment Seat of Christ. And it was after that I went on that trip and got that picture in front of the Bema, and then I came
Okay.
up with the prophecy.
Yeah, she has a
Oh,
picture of it,
yeah.
like 40 years ago, right, you said? 30 years ago, 40 years
No,
ago?
40, it was summer of
40?
81.
Where's the
Yeah.
demon at?
This was in the city of Corinth, they're in Greece.
Really?
And,
That's pretty neat.
And I was the only one on the tour that even wanted to get a picture in front of this. It has a BEMA, and I'll bring it in tomorrow.
I want to see that.
That's pretty neat, yeah.
But you know, I didn't know any of this
Wow.
stuff. I didn't know anything about kingdom, the Bema Seat, nothing. It was pretty benign. Methodist is devil.
I know, that's why there's a method to them, to keep you blinded. What, Jim, you knew because of me, right, or no?
Yeah, well, actually, yeah, because of following you when you were first saved, I thought that was impressive. My dad and I, no, seriously, because I.
That's how much of a devil I was, you're saying. You're saying he was that demonic.
No, it was just interesting to see how God just grabbed you and took off. But,
Oh, you're funny.
I was in the Catholic Church, and I'm a Y baby. So I'm reading, they
Yeah.
gave us the Bible, the Roman Catholic Bible, and I found the King James Bible, and I read both of them. I'm going, this doesn't look right. So I go back to the Catholic one, and I'm going, can you explain this to me? And I mean, they just, the priest would talk to me.
We don't understand
I was
scripture.
really, and it started annoying me because
Yeah.
I'm arguing with I'm arguing with the priest giving the sermon in my head. No, it doesn't say that. It says this. You're
Yeah.
changing words.
Yeah.
No, it says all. It says we. It says no. It doesn't say that in the book. And then
Right.
and then it was the. And I talked to my dad. My dad would say, well, it's just you just gotta give it time. You gotta give it time.
Yeah.
I graduated from a Catholic school. They had 12 years to teach me this, and all of a sudden you get saved. And I'm like, okay, I've been asking these questions all along, and all of a sudden you're answering these questions. I'm like, hold, wait a minute, I know I'm saved, but I missed something here. And then you were going through your levels of, I mean, I'm just on the same exact programs and went to the Baptist church.
Yep.
And I saw, okay, there's answers, so I went right behind, getting answers.
Oh, you-
And I'm starting to get, because of what God was doing with him. I'm getting answers to certain questions that I wouldn't hear in a Catholic church, and all of a sudden you hit a brick wall again.
Yeah.
This is when they started doing cult-isms and things
Yes.
like that. Remember that? They had a
That was just,
whole wall,
that's where the
all
Freemason
cult-isms.
conversation came
Yeah.
from.
And then all of a sudden, you start pointing out, look at that. That's from the Freemason. I said, well, what? And then it's like,
Yeah.
you scratch the record, you know?
Yeah.
And you stop.
Yeah.
You know, wait a minute, this church is built with that in mind?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I realized that there is a group that they teach in the morning, the group that they teach in the afternoon, and then they have the extra groups, like the men's group and stuff
Yeah.
like that, moving to those. And all of a sudden, it started getting cloudy. They stopped teaching things. And they would say, like, the 18-inch thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, this is not answering my questions again.
Yeah.
And then you had that issue with the church,
Yep.
and then you found.
To Chattanooga. That's what it was. That's what
And
changed
so
everything.
Yeah, it follows you. We used to take Ryan up there.
Yep,
and
yep.
Back and forth, so every summer we'd go up to,
Yeah.
summertime we'd go up and visit
Yeah.
Pastor Nancy in Ottawa.
That's where it was,
Yeah.
Ottawa, Tennessee.
Ottawa.
That's where we lived, Ottawa.
Yeah.
It's an Indian town. It was cool and
Just
how.
over the border of, yeah. And that's how it changed. And at all this time, we're going, I'm arguing with my dad. Because my dad, Catholic Church is everything to him. It's his,
Oh, like
that's
my
his,
parents.
it's his gig, that's his.
Yeah.
And he went up to the day he passed. He wanted to be I think he was Knights of Claythorne, like the highest you can get.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't know this, but that was his thing. But my dad, and the reason why I am the way I am is because my dad said, you go to that church and it will answer all your questions. And like I said, I'm a why baby.
But they didn't.
They did, and once they stopped answering my questions, I'm like in limbo. And then when I went to Gary's church, it's like God just put a zipper on my mouth. I couldn't say anything because there's a whole bunch of stuff that I did not know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Right.
it's to this day, I'm still fascinated with the different things you're finding in scriptures.
Mhm.
And then you get confused. It's like, I had to fight with my dad. And he literally thought I was, that Protestant Catholic thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So now you're a Protestant kind of way, and we're at odds for a long time. And then we finally reconciled, and I'm glad we did, because before he passed, we reconciled. And and he understood where I was coming from. I wasn't
Right.
just out there willy-nilly, just kind of following a cult. I said,
Yeah.
I can say this, and
Right.
this.
Yeah.
And I still have a problem. It's just my mind puts things in the wrong place. So it's hard to follow sometimes. But yeah, I felt like I was.
So I talked too
I
fast.
yeah. I literally felt like I was violating old teachings, because even with Revelation, I'm sitting here confusing this stuff. So wait a minute, I thought you were supposed to do this now. No, it's later.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's just it's really, but yeah.
Wow.
It took a lot. It's like a slow boat in the middle, like a big tanker in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
I gotta change course. All right, Bob, changing course. You know, all of a sudden, like 10 days later, it changes course.
Yeah, yeah, it takes a long time.
Okay, new course. Hey, another course. Okay, I change and go back.
It's a good analogy.
I was gonna ask Nancy, did you go to the conferences in St. Petersburg and in Tampa?
Yeah, the God's News Behind the News.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
With Jack Benempey?
Yeah, and then like I said, Dr.
Oh,
Shuttle was there, and then
Jack
actually.
Benempey.
I said Arlen Chidley, but I meant that's who it
Yeah,
was.
yeah,
that
Dr.
gave-
Shuttle,
yeah.
yeah.
So we were there together. We
You were
went
there
to
too?
St. Pete.
You were there.
yeah.
We were in the same conference, you were there. and
I
we were
guess I
there,
didn't
but
see, didn't know who you were,
We didn't know
but
who we
I.
were, yeah.
Well, that was pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Or else you would
That's
know.
how we got this point.
That's a funny story.
92, first year that, I went, it was in St. Pete, and the
Yeah.
second year I went, that was the Waco thing, and that was.
Oh.
I mean, I know that's
It was happening.
That's watered down.
And even the
Yeah,
reason
yeah,
I
of
got to
course,
go
but
to the
it-
God's News thing,
but
one
it
of my
has-
students,
that was nothing
got his
we
mother
heard
being
at
interested
the
in
church.
this.
Well,
I
oh, Left
got
Behind was
to
still big deal?
associated with her and that.
Yeah.
and we went
Yeah,
to that
because
Bible
they're,
conference.
They were anti-rapture.
Yeah.
They're all
And-
millennials.
Yeah, no, it was,
and another
I'm
student
a
millennial.
with me on
Got
the
it, got it.
prophecy
That's a big deal, I get it.
Dr. J.R. Church.
Reading that.
What did you say about some?
In the news, I remember that.
And of course, the milk churches I went to, they just
He's our
kept,
pastor.
you know, they had that altar call, you're not really saved, come
Very, very
forward.
And those
It's right,
five
what?
foolish were not
Popular,
saved,
like a
that's
guy
the last sermon I attended,
Changed his life.
97, when the associate pastor got up there and said, those five foolish virgins go to hell.
What?
No, they don't. I got I couldn't stand it. Yeah.
And then when I
They
went
don't
to
know where to
one
put
of the
it,
prophecy
you know,
conferences, Grant Jeffrey just passed away, and he got up and said,
Okay.
more needs to be said about the judgment seat of Christ, and at that time I wanted to say, give me that microphone, but. That's as close as they came at the
The guy who's
prophecy
currently at the
conference,
church,
talking
yeah.
about
Oh,
the judgment
okay.
seat
Yeah,
of
yeah,
Christ, that's as
Yeah,
close as
avoid
they
that at all
came.
costs.
You know, Grant Jeffrey was the only one that
To
saw
give to
the
people,
kingdom
to distribute.
in a pyramid shape
You
like
know,
Preston.
I don't know.
Who was?
Churches.
Grant
Grant Jeffrey, and he.
I didn't know that.
Jeffries, is it Jeffries or Jeffrey?
I don't remember.
Jeffrey.
But he's the
He
only one
died.
that saw the kingdom in it, he says it has to be a pyramid because there's a foundation and there's a capstone.
Yeah.
The capstone
Right.
is
That's
holds
right.
all the sides together and
Yep.
the top from falling and collapsing, it's all
Yeah.
held by the capstone. He said it can't be, everybody draws the kingdom like it's just
A
this big
square.
square with a
Like
wide open
big Rubik's
top.
Cube, yeah.
But there is a top.
Yeah, I know.
The bride is at the top,
I
so if
know.
there's no top, then it would just be like infinity up there, but it's actually,
Obelisk.
it's
Yeah, I know.
self-contained.
That is cool, I know, right?
Yeah, so he was right about that. That was pretty cool. I
Also
thought that
listen
was
to a lot of-
exciting.
And by the way, I didn't even see that until Terry left.
Really?
Yeah. It was after he left in '09. It was kind of like the.
09 was a big
got like
year.
an hindrance, not to be mean, I'm just being honest. It was like an encumbrance just left and it just was different. And so everything, that's when I started to change. I don't know if you know that, if you can remember that in your, but I started to change. And '09, it was like, I don't know, it's like I had, like Lee can understand this being, like you go from the wheelchair to the walker thing. It's like I was no longer inhibited anymore. It was like, I was trying to walk. And it was like, it was on my own.
Your teaching was incredible, because you did that stratosphere stuff, remember?
Yeah, yeah.
You did the pyramid, where it was gonna land, and how
Yeah.
it was up above, you know, and
Yeah.
hovering, and all those, you had there was a lot of stuff that year.
That
Yeah.
mobile throne room thing that you
Yeah.
talked
Yeah.
about, that it's
Yeah.
actually moving and
Yeah.
hovering and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah, that, I never would have seen that, I don't think, unless he left, to be honest.
I don't either.
Terry left.
Oh, I see.
I think God had to move him out.
Understood.
Because
Yeah.
I was always trying to appease
Sure.
things to make him feel good about himself, and I was basically doing that too much, so that he took it and twisted that, and then at the same time, it also had corrupted me in the sense that I wasn't able to just focus on God speaking to me. I was so busy trying to help him as a
Sure.
brother, and that was not
Yeah.
good. It hurt him, and it definitely affected me without me knowing it, as far as how I was able to talk with God. Yeah, how about you, babe? How'd you
How
get to
about
know?
Nancy?
How'd you get to know, babe?
I think he married you, right? And now you.
She's like, is there any other way?
Yeah. Talk about hovering.
Is there any other kind of thinking that's correct?
But tonight, the good thing is that she sees it. You know, the Lord knew.
Yeah, my babes.
You know, there's always that chance that she.
But
would
remember,
not
we went to
see it.
Chattanooga, though, talk about the Chattanooga part, they don't know about that. Remember the Chattanooga experience, you remember how you felt about all that stuff? The soul salvation conversation?
Yeah, well, in the beginning, it was a little weird. But we just kept, hanging in there. And then we went to lunch, I think,
Mhm.
with the people.
Yep, at Denny's or whatever it was.
Yeah, and they were, into it, and they looked at us and said, so do you know about souls, I think it was soul salvation?
Yeah.
And we looked at each other,
The-
and then he said, guess not.
Yeah, yeah, because our look was like, you open the door right behind you. It's a bunch of freaks. We gotta get out of here. She was like, save me.
Bless,
Yeah.
so, but we hung in there and, you know,
But if it wasn't for Babes, you were the one who found the congregation, not me. God led you to Calvary Bible Church, not me. It was you. Remember? You met Shelley Spiegelman.
oh, yeah.
And you
I
said,
went-
"Let's go."
went about
I had
town
no
while he
idea.
was working, and I just wanted to see some new sights.
Hmm.
And, you know, I love bookstores, and that is where I met.
The Bible
Shelley,
bookstore.
Yeah,
Really?
Shelley Spiegelman.
Yep.
He's not here anymore, but,
No. But you went there, and then you're the one who talked to him about his Jewish slant on things, and you said, you gotta hear this guy. So we went, I didn't know unless God used my wife. You see? Everything works for a reason, right?
yes, it does.
And then about the sovereignty thing, that wasn't easy for you either, wasn't it? Remember you were raised up that it's all about the free will.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's all
I
they
mean,
teach now.
That took a long time for that for
Yeah,
you.
that's right.
You're like,
I
sure,
grew up
whatever.
on the farm in Illinois, you know.
Yeah. And Nebraska, they just take Jesus by the hand and he'll go wherever you want him to go.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
joking.
I never heard that before. That's-
Take Jesus by the hand, he'll go wherever you want him to
And you
go.
can take him along, right? And you can drag him along if you
Oh,
want.
my goodness.
Just drag him along. Did you know that, Lee? I didn't know I had the power to do that.
Whether he wants to or not.
I know, I don't, that's right. Guess what, you don't, he said. He can't. All right, so it's, you want to do a lunch, it's 12:30, what do you guys think?
Yeah, this is-
Wanna stop to eat lunch? Okay, it's a good time for a break, we'll do that, and then let's do a break. So, we'll break now, we'll
I
stop the
remember
recording.
reading Matthew back in the early '70s when I was really in trouble with that marriage.
Oh, we got Rianne on here. Say hi to Rianne there, Lainey.
Hi, Rhiannon. Hi, Rhiannon.
And everybody.